Thanks for staying with us. A tragic and alarming security development occurred in Kwara State, where a community in the Kaiama local government area was ravaged by a brutal terrorist attack. According to local leaders, at least 75 bodies have already been buried following the assault on Woro Village, and the final death toll is expected to rise as recovery efforts continue.
In a chilling revelation, the village head, Salihu Umar, told reporters that the group behind the attack sent a letter to the community weeks before the violence, claiming they wished to visit and preach. A warning that was reported to authorities, but did not prevent the massacre. The assault, which unfolded over several hours, saw houses razed, shops destroyed, and scores of residents killed or abducted, leaving deep grief and fear in its wake.
The identity of the attackers has been linked to extremist factions operating beyond the northeast, highlighting a worrying spread of terror into western Nigeria. Join us this morning to shed light on this horrific event and the broader insecurity challenges is security consultant and public affairs analyst, Dr. Steve Okwori. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Okwori, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, Dr. Okwori, quite unprecedented in the history of Kwara State. This is the biggest terrorist attack that has happened in this state. Very tragic circumstances. What do we know so far about this horrific attack in Woro Village? The number of casualties, and has any group claimed responsibility for the attack?
Yeah, not to my knowledge if any group has claimed responsibility, but I want to liken what has happened in Kwara to what happened in Benue, the Yelewata community, some couple of months ago. You see that the perpetrators almost carried out similar modus operandi, right? Came into the community, killed people that were in their sleep, burnt houses and all that. It's the same thing. And I want to believe that this same terrorist group that came to Yelewata are the same terrorist group that has gone to Kaiama local government in Kwara State. And don't forget that Kwara and Benue are in the north-central region, or geopolitical zone. Right. It's unfortunate that we are seeing what we are experiencing in this country. Crime. Every day we wake up to different incidents of crime in Nigeria. In the last couple of years, there's no day, no hour that we don't discuss issues bordering on insecurity on national television, on radios, we read it in the newspapers and also on the social media. These are some of the crimes that we are aware. There are some that happen that we don't even know, right? So what this means is that there's a lot that the government needs to do, and also our security agencies. We cannot continue to do the same thing and we expect a different result. Now it has happened in the community in Kaiama local government. What has the government do is deployment of troops, deployment of police. After 1 or 2 weeks, they will be withdrawn, and these communities will continue to become vulnerable to these attacks. You just said, which of course I'm aware, a letter was written to this community asking that they should renounce their current religion and take into another type of Islamic religion that they were trying to come and see how to come down to see how to bring it on board, and they declined. They said, no, we don't know this Islamic religion that you're trying to bring and all that. And one of the things is the reason why we are seeing what we are seeing. 75 or more is not a small number. The government of President Muhammad Tinubu and the Kwara State governor, they swore an oath to protect lives and property. You know, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 14(2)(b), that has become so common and popular. Security and welfare of the citizens is the primary responsibility of government. When we begin to look at what is happening in Nigeria and put that section of the Constitution side by side, is the government fulfilling that section of the Constitution? It's not left for you and I to answer. The answer is no, right? Now, it is the same message, condemning perpetrators, justice will be served, perpetrators will be brought to book, meanwhile the people are dead and gone, right? So I think that there's a lot the government is doing. In as much as we see some kinetic approaches or measures from the military and all that, but I think that we should go beyond that. There's a lot that we need to do, and thank God for certain steps in the course of the conversation that the federal government, is trying to do or putting forward to see that they help address these issues that is confronting Nigeria today.
Key part of this story that's quite disheartening. The fact that they sent a letter weeks before the attack, and yet this attack was not able to be averted. There wasn't, I don't know that I would say that there was a measure of preparedness, adequate preparedness to match the threat of the letter that was sent. So where does the bulk of the responsibility lie? What could have been done differently?
There's a lot that needed to have been done differently. You see, when certain intelligence come on board, the security agencies tend to play a role, such as they see this information as if they are not true, right? And they don't take it very seriously. For crying out loud, how should a letter is written or was written to a community informing them of an attack, and such information was out there in the public space, and nothing was done. And that is why the coming of the U.S. troop to Nigeria, and one of the reasons why they are coming on board is because we don't, when it has to do with response to threats, we don't pay key attention to it. It takes, we pay some kind of lip service. I don't know whether we are complacent about it, I don't know, you know. So one of the reasons why I think that these issues happen is that we are not quick when it has to do with response to threats, right? And it is a failure of intelligence, whether we like it or not. Intelligence was given. Now, in other intelligence, we have actionable and non-actionable intelligence. This was the clear case of actionable intelligence. Were actions taken? The answer is no. If actions were taken, we would have seen what has happened in these communities in the Kaiama local government. So, for me, it is lack of intelligence. The certain security agencies that are saddled with the responsibility of providing intelligence and acting on this intelligence, they fail to perform their roles. The DSS, what is their domestic or what is their mandate is provision of domestic intelligence. The police, they also have intelligence units, the military also have intelligence units. So why did they all fail in carrying out their responsibility to see that this incident was averted? What they did not do, they did not act. And that is the problem that we have. Why rather than acting, they are just, I don't know what they are doing. Now they have been deployed to go. What are they going to do when the damage is done? Right? So there are times or periods that they were supposed to act. They did not act. They failed to act. Perhaps they did not take that information very seriously. Right? They took that information for granted. And now look at the repercussion. 75 or more people dead, and now they are coming to do what? When the perpetrators were there, they had their field day, carried out the attacks on these innocent Nigerians that were going about their lawful businesses and all that. And at the end of the day, they fled the scene, and you are there to do what? To do what? Look at the Elwata case. About 23 suspects were arrested. Now they are only trying 9 in court. Right? So you are trying 9 in court. At the end of the day, you will be sentenced to jail or in prison. They keep feeding them with taxpayers' money. Meanwhile, the over close to 200 persons that were killed are dead and gone. So wherein lies the place of justice for victims? Right? So who kills by the sword should die by the sword. You have established clearly that they were the perpetrators. Right? Why not do justice to them as well and let them go? Because there's lots that is not happening to these offenders. Right? We are not seeing stricter penalties on them. We have seen where somebody will go kill people. At the end of the day, you sentence the person to the 4 years or 5 years imprisonment and all that. Will all this serve as deterrent to intentional or people that are already in the act of committing this act of criminality on Nigerians? So there's a lot that we need to do in trying to see that these things that is happening, the offenders or the perpetrators, are deterred from carrying out this act of criminality.
All right. I'd like us to look at this video. After the video, I want us to look at a critical question that borders the minds, especially of Nigerians. But let's take a look at this video.
Over the deaths of 75 of your subjects in Europe. I like General Petros. Your emirate is versatile. And from the information I've been getting, this village refused to succumb to a converted form of Islamic doctrine. They are lying under your emirate, abiding by the Islamic faith. And basically, they don't want any alteration and alignment, alteration to what, how they pray to God, how they pray to Allah, and because they absolutely refuse a change in doctrine in the faith, they were attacked and massacred. It's different from what we used to see, where subjects were kidnapped for ransom, but this was just a pure massacre. It's something we truly condemn and commiserate with you.
All right, so that's the governor of Kwara State, Abdulrazak, His Excellency. And as we speak, just a few hours ago, but it still depends on your time, the governor did meet with the president at Aso Rock, in Aso Rock, where they had a lengthy conversation. The point here is the governor did mention in that video that it was as a result of a radical preaching and teaching of the Muslim faith that the people decided to reject, hence why the massacre started. I want to ask a question. Do you see this as a worry? Especially looking at the fact that these messages or these teachings are looking to be spread. We used to talk about the Northeast alone, and now it's coming to the Southwest. Do you think the federal government or the government as a whole should look at this case as one that is critically spreading, and if care is not taken, it will engulf the entire state? And what can they do?
Yes. You know, when terrorism started in 2009, the whole idea about terrorism under the late founder of Boko Haram was that they were against Western education. And we have seen situations where the ideology of Boko Haram has metamorphosed or changed into something different, what we are seeing now. When we started experiencing terrorism in 2009, Boko Haram was the primary threat there. And now Boko Haram has, metamorphosed or given birth to other terrorist organizations or groups in Nigeria. We have the ISWAP, now have the Mahmuda, the Ansaru, and the Wolo that is around the North Central region. Now, they have different ideology, right? Now, this particular group that is going to talk about a different type of Islamic religion to be practiced in this very community where these attacks happen. Right now, they have not come out to tell us who they are, right? And that's already a challenge. That is to ensure that will now make our security agencies put the roll off their sleeves to be able to discover who these terrorist groups are, because they are taking a different dimension now. Now, from what is happening, it is no longer banditry activity. From what we are seeing now, is some group of terrorists that are trying to change the kind of Islamic religion that this very community practice. Right. So it is another assignment for the government and the security agencies to see how to embark on to unravel what truly is happening in this community. Now, you see, we have a lot that is happening in Nigeria with regards to religion. Leah Sharibu of the Tapchi, one of the Tapchi girls that was also adopted or kidnapped some couple of years ago. Up to now, we haven't seen her. We don't even know her whereabouts. Reason is because she refused to renounce her religion. Right. So there's a lot. This is another dimension entirely. And for it to be nice or good for government not to take this, what we are seeing now, for granted. Right. Because this is another dimension completely. Going into communities, asking them to renounce the kind of religion that they practice. So what that means is that the traditional rulers, sheikh, imams, and all that, they have critical roles to play in this, right? So a couple of months ago, in Niger State, the governor of the state said that each sermon that would or should be preached, or that will be preached in any of the mosques within the state, should be submitted, the title of the sermon and how you want to go about preaching that particular title of that sermon should be submitted to one of the ministries or so, Ministry of Religious Affairs or so, for vetting, because they have discovered that some sheikh or imams and other go outside the normal doctrine of Islam to preach something different, right? Whereby trying to fuel, this type of crisis that we're experiencing now. So this is, for me, for suggesting that someone should be submitted. I think that it was a strategy that was let out. The governor had to let the cat out of the bag, because since it's a strategy, for me, he would have asked plain security officers and all that to visit suspected mosques where they suspect that such sermons are preached, in support of extremism and all that. But he didn't do that. So when you ask a sheikh to come and submit his sermon, you have already preempted that they are coming after you or something. So you don't expect the sheikh or the imam that is preaching in favor of violent extremism and all that, to come up with a sermon that will now go against him. Now, the whole idea is that there's a lot we are doing and we need to do. There's religious bigotry. So there's a lot that has to do with religion. I think we have to treat very carefully with this. From this angle, what we are saying, it is already wrong, it is criminal and all that. You cannot force people out of their own volition to practice a religion that they don't want. It's not a must, right? Or to practice a kind of religious practice that they don't intend to do. So if they refuse to do, well, that lies in their fundamental human rights, right? Their freedom to associate, their freedom to express. You are now forcing them, coercing them to do what they don't intend to do. And since they have refused, the only option that they have is to see how to kill more than 75 persons within a community. So if it's not curtailed now, and they go into other communities and they do this, don't forget, I said that our response to incidents or crime is very minimal. It's a snail speed that our law enforcement usually follow or process before they get to where these attacks happen. Crime is local, and most of these crime that we're seeing happen in a very remote community where we don't have security presence. There are a lot of communities there that when you go right now, you won't see police, you won't see soldier. And these areas or communities that these criminals concentrate and carry out this heinous act on the people of this country.
Now, Doctor, let's talk about the federal government's response to this attack. 24 hours after the attacks took place, the government released a statement saying that the president had ordered the deployment of a battalion as part of Operation Savannah Shield to be sent to the location where this attacks took place. From a security analyst point of view, what does this really do to the victims? Because the damage seems to have been done. Is this a case of medicine after death?
Absolutely. It is medicine after death. I talked about response, quick response, and we're not doing that, and we are failing in that. When the damage is done, that is when they respond, right? So deployment of battalion or troops is, for me, is a temporary measure, right? It's not a measure that can be sustained. I just said it here that after 1 week or 2 weeks, they will be withdrawn. And they will now post them or deploy them to other areas for them to provide some security services and all that. Now, one of the things that I think that this government under President Tinubu is doing, and I think that there is need for them to see how to hasten it up, it's not something that they'll be taking their time to do, because these criminals are not waiting. They keep capitalizing on the inadequacies of government and security agencies and carrying out this mayhem on the citizens of this country. Right. Now, I just told you that crime is local. In very remote communities, we don't have presence of security. Now, one of the things that I think that the government has done or is doing is the establishment of this National Forest Guard, right, that should be found in our very rural communities where this crime happens. And one of the good things that the president has also done is that he has approved the National Forest Guards to also bear arms, because he knows that these forest guards are going to be first responders when these criminals come to attack our people. Because when they come, you won't see police, you won't see soldiers. So the presence of National Forest Guards, when they are well armed, sophisticatedly armed, and these criminals come, then we can confront them. We have not seen situations where these people come, carry out acts of criminality like this, in this manner. None of them is killed. None of them is arrested at the point or the scene, at the crime scene. Nothing of such happens. So we don't even know where they are coming from. Are they indigents of Kwara that are collaborating with foreigners or people from other states to come and carry these acts of criminality on our people? We don't even have questions to this, answers to these questions, right? So doing this in that manner, by having forest guards, I think is a way to do in addressing these issues locally. And also the coming of the U.S. Troops that is currently in Nigeria, I think that there are some benefits that are attached to their presence. Right now, we know that they are coming here to assist Nigerian security forces in the area of intelligence, training, and also technical assistance. There's a lot that is lacking with regards to our intelligence, and this one of the things that has allowed this to succeed in this community in Kwara is failure of intelligence. So we need to have certain trainings, right? Because they have more knowledge and not whether we like it or not, right? And the main reason why they are here is to see that they support us or improve our capacity in terms of this intelligence gathering and sharing, right? And also training in the area of monitoring of the movement of these bandits or terrorists or kidnappers, right? I just saw on your news that the remaining abductees from Kaduna were just released. Imagine when they adopted them or kidnapped them, right? In this country, we saw where the U.S. Navy SEAL came all the way from the U.S., came to rescue a U.S. citizen that was kidnapped in Niger and kept somewhere in Nigeria. Nigerian government did not know how they came in here, but it was through the use of technology. They came, rescued their citizen, and took him away. So why can't we apply such technology in Nigeria for us to know or track the movement of these criminal elements when they kidnap our people? Where do they take them to? So how long will we keep rigmarolling, going round and round, and not using modern technology to help in addressing these issues? And that is why I see the presence of the U.S. in Nigeria as a welcome development, because there's a lot that they can impact in our own security forces here, to be able to see how to carry out these security operations in Nigeria.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. It's quite unfortunate that these are not the kind of stories we want to take. Nigerian lives have been lost, and we always keep asking, what is the value of the Nigerian life? And has our government exemplified the priority attached to these Nigerian lives that have been killed and have been kidnapped? But we will continue to follow this story as it is developing. Thank you for your time with us this morning.